Cobra Commander #1. This issue just came out this previous Wednesday. It's been being touted by Skybound Entertainment as being something completely fresh, completely new, part of the Energon universe within which ties basically the Transformers comics with the new G.I. Joe comics, the A Real American Hero. So A Real American Hero is its own continuity, and we have the new comics like Transformers, Duke, Cobra Commander now. These are part of the Energon universe, and let me tell you, I've got, this is my this is the main copy right here. This is the common cover art issue, non-variant, and this issue is fantastic. So for all of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Mark. I'm with Coffee&Toys, and what we do here is we review action figures, we talk about G.I. Joe comics, and just anything else I find interesting. So specifically for today, we will be reviewing, and there will be spoilers for Cobra Commander issue 1. So if you don't want to know any of the spoilers, I suggest you turn away now. But for those of you here and want to continue on with this video, welcome. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe down below, and make sure you comment. I want to know if you guys have picked up Cobra Commander issue 1 and what your thoughts were on it. But that being said, before we go further, I'm going to set my coffee down, and there are a lot of variant covers for this inaugural issue of Cobra Commander. So like I said, this is the primary cover for the comic. There are actually, how many covers? Oh my gosh, I think there's like 7 or 8 covers. It's crazy, but I wasn't able to get most of them. Here is one of the variant covers for the issue. This is I like this artwork. It is basically just a penciled in drawing of Cobra Commander in his classic uniform with his pistol. And then the only other one I got, and you can see it cost a little bit more, but that's okay. Support your local comic shop, by the way. I love this one. We get to see Cobra Commander in his old Snake persona, which he actually will start the issue in. So when we start talking about the issue, he does actually wear this outfit. And there are a number of other variant covers, but yeah, doesn't matter, doesn't change the story. Variant covers are fun, but what I am interested in is the actual story. So, with that being said, spoilers are starting now. We start the issue up in the mountains, somewhere, assumably maybe the United States or Canada, and Cobra Commander walks into this place called No Man's Land. It's basically a roadhouse bar kind of thing, and you know, he gets some gruff from some of the locals because he's dressed as Old Snake, straight up. He is dressed as Old Snake, and you know, they're like, I didn't know the circus was in town, you know, and one of the guys walks by and slaps him on the back, and Cobra Commander says something to the effect of, I need a ride, or I need a vehicle, and nobody's helping. This one, you know, rough guy walks out, and Cobra Commander just kind of follows him out. This is the same individual that kind of slapped him on the back and made fun of him, saying, why you got the lisp? And Cobra Commander follows him out, watches him get into his vehicle, and Cobra Commander basically says something to the effect of, oh, that'll do nicely. And then the next thing we hear is, or we read rather, is this terrible, ugly sound, and the vehicle leaves. A few patrons walk out of the bar, and we find that this individual has been murdered, and Cobra Commander has stolen his vehicle. So the issue starts off pretty crazy, and that's the preview. I mean, everybody, if you've picked up any of the other comics, that has been included with some of the other G.I. Joe comics, such as Duke #1 or the latest issue of A Real American Hero 303. So they are really touting this issue of Cobra Commander #1. So moving forward, the next part of the comic goes back and it says before. So assumably before what we just talked about. And the first image you see is something that is just otherworldly, does not seem like, no place, but I'll just come out and say it, it's Cobra-La. Okay, so before you start turning up your noses, I understand a lot of folks don't like Cobra-La, but bear with me, we're going to continue through this. We are in Cobra-La. There's a few panels showing off the various creatures and the looks of Cobra-La, and it basically looks like, if you watch the 1987 G.I. Joe movie, that's pretty much what they're basing it on. And you see all these citizens of Cobra-La basically saying, they're all up in arms, and they're basically storming this one building. There's this huge explosion or noise, and they're like, you let this monstrosity into our civilization, and we have to do something about it. So this mob is rushing towards this building of sorts, and inside you see an individual basically saying, barricade the doors, we're not going to be able to stop this mob, we've brought this on ourselves by bringing this monstrosity into our labs, and we are just scientists, what are we going to do? And the individual very, very much resembles Cobra Commander from his appearance in the G.I. Joe 1987 movie when he is a citizen of Cobra-La. And I'll make sure to throw a picture up just in case you don't remember. So this guy's saying, hey, we got to protect ourselves from this mobs. We're just scientists. We can't stop them. And as he's talking, the next panel, he is shot in the head. And they cut to a picture of Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander wearing his 1991 action figure uniform. The blue bodysuit with the Cobra logo in the middle, but then has the gold helmet with the red faceplate. And oh my gosh, that was so awesome. What a callback. I have not seen that outfit since G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, like somewhere in the issue 118, 119, 120, somewhere in there. That is such a great callback. Cobra Commander kills this individual that, in my mind, I thought that was Cobra Commander getting shot in the head. Because I was assuming, Cobra Commander's the guy from the 87 movie, and that's what he looks like in this panel. No, Cobra Commander shoots him in the head and says, no one retreats. We are going to stop this mob right now. Yes, we are scientists, but no one's going to stop what I'm doing. And he grabs what looks like a kind of a grenade, and he throws it at the mob as they come in, and like they're screaming and like, I'm burning. And there's another female scientist behind him, and he basically gives her one of these grenades and says, here, this ought to keep the mobs back. Kill whoever, basically kill them if they try to attack again. And the scientist lady, being a scientist and not a fighter, says, am I supposed to throw this? And the last thing you see is Cobra Commander looking over his shoulder and saying, you fool. And the grenade or whatnot blows up in her hand, and Cobra Commander's right beside her. So you see a panel of Cobra Commander getting blown up, and we cut back later, and we see an individual wrapped completely in Band-Aids, and some doctors, assumably around him, trying to heal him up, and they're using weird technology, which includes, it's very organic looking. Now, if you remember from the G.I. Joe movie, Cobra-La was all about organic technology. And so it looks like they even used this Cobra to actually bite onto Cobra Commander, who's this, grievously injured, and it's biting on him, and assumably it's healing him, because in the next panel we see him again all wrapped up, his face is wrapped up, you can see his eyes, you can see a little bit of his cheek, and you can see what looks like a third eye, reptilian eye, kind of up on his forehead. And he's sitting there, and he looks over, and there's the classic Cobra Commander battle helmet, the silver faceplate. And he just kind of looks at it on the table. He picks it up and he holds it, and Pythona shows up with 2 royal guards, and she says, put it on, hide your shame. Golobulus wants to speak with you. And he's like, okay. The next panel we see, he is walking into an arena of sorts, and he is wearing the full Cobra Commander costume that we all know. That is the version 1 Cobra Commander, again with that silver faceplate. And Golobulus basically says, I healed you up to watch you because I want to watch you die. Because you've done this, you know that we do not, this is heresy to bring in this foreign technology into Cobra-La. He's like, I gave you meaning when you were searching for a place to be. I've given you all the science stuff you need. And we can, essentially we extrapolate from this that Cobra Commander is indeed a human that somehow stumbled upon Cobra-La. And that he was brought in as a scientist, and he is brought in some sort of blasphemy into Cobra-La that is causing these riots. Golobulus continues and says, I know you started these riots, and now you're going to die for them. And Cobra Commander basically says, everything I've done has been for Cobra-La, has been for you, Golobulus. And he's calling him out straight by name. It is Golobulus. He's kind of got a big red hood, cape, whatever you want to call it, on. So we can't tell if he's all part snake or he's still, sort of more humanish. We do see his face, and he does look like the classic Golobulus from the 87 movie. But we really only see kind of his head. And Cobra Commander's like, everything I do for you, which I'm not trying to quote that song, whoever sings that. But anyway, he's like, everything I do for you and Cobra-La. And anyway, the Royal Guards, three of them are approaching Cobra Commander, and they're getting ready to attack him. Cobra Commander manages to roll out of the way. He makes a quip about, hey, I'm not really a fighter. I let others do the fighting for me. And he pulls out what only to me could have been what essentially look like Insecticons. They are these bugs, but they definitely have robots in them. And he throws them at the three Royal Guards, and he incapacitates them. And he basically continues to go up and says, this has all been for you. This technology can help us get out of where we're at and lead us to a new era of Cobra-La. So with that, he's basically impressed Golobulus. Golobulus lets him go. Cobra Commander is then seen walking back to his science lab, and he enters this big vault. And the first thing he says is, I bet you hoped I was dead. I'm sorry to disappoint. Or something to that effect. And it cuts to this beautiful 2-page artwork of Cobra Commander standing in front of a captured Megatron. Megatron is the technology that Cobra Commander has brought into Cobra-La, and he is harnessing the energon from Megatron to do to basically create these weapons and whatnot. And that's what the what am I trying to say? That is the blasphemy. That is what he is doing. That is how he made these Insecticon looking things. And he's basically talking to Megatron. Megatron is just on his knees, locked up, does not seem to have any arms. And Cobra Commander talks to him for a minute and then basically leaves. And as Cobra Commander is leaving, Megatron lifts his head up and kind of gives a little smirk. And essentially that's where the precursor to the beginning of the issue ends. We cut back to Cobra Commander in the present, and the vehicle he's stolen is off to the side, and he's basically staring at the mountains. And this other individual is with him. So this individual says, hey, you need to get a disguise. You can't be walking around like this. You've already killed somebody, and now we're just pulled off on the side of the road for no reason. What's going on? And Cobra Commander basically says, I'm not changing my outfit. I want people to know what I look like. I want them to ask questions, and I want them to remember the name Cobra Commander. And furthermore, the interesting thing he says to this person, he calls him Grunt. Now, it can be argued if Grunt is the Grunt we know. Is Grunt a G.I. Joe? Is Grunt someone else? Or is Grunt just a demeaning term that Cobra Commander is using for this individual? This person is basically has been assigned to him by Golobulus, and he's a human, and is basically supposed to watch Cobra Commander. And Cobra Commander's like, I'm going to make the world fear me and fear the name Cobra Commander. And that is where the issue ends. This issue is amazing. I love the artwork. I love the fact that we are getting... I like Cobra-La. It was cheesy in the 80s. It's still cheesy today. But what they have done, Cobra Commander is no longer a Cobra-La citizen. He is a human that somehow stumbled upon Cobra-La and has been working with them. So it's an entirely new origin story for Cobra Commander. Now, what did he do before that? Maybe he was a used car salesman. Who knows? He was someone searching for meaning. He found Cobra-La, and that's where he got his meaning. He's obviously intelligent enough to be a scientist, and he is using Megatron. And oh my gosh, I audibly said, oh my, when I saw that artwork, that 2-page panel of Megatron just locked up and Cobra Commander talking to him. Cobra Commander in this one is, I am loving, if this goes on, I am loving this. Between this and Duke, these things are going to go together really well. I am loving what I am seeing. Cobra Commander trying to harness the energon from Megatron. And I guess one thing else I didn't mention was that he told Megatron when he was talking to him, I've found others like you, and I am going to go after them. and I'm going to take from them what I'm taking from you. And, you know, it's absolutely bonkers because, of course, if we go back and talk about Duke, and if you haven't read Duke, I highly suggest picking that up. Duke has seen Starscream. So Duke also knows that Transformers exist, but we're just seeing the Transformers for the first time on Earth, essentially. Or at least being present in the G.I. Joe universe. And wow. But going back to Cobra Commander, this is a Cobra Commander I can definitely get behind. He is ruthless. He is cunning. He's quick with his words to be able to get what he needs. And I am so excited to see where Cobra Commander issue 2 takes us next. I'm also excited to figure out what's going on with the Grunt because, again, like what we saw in Duke number 1, you know, they brought in Mercer, and Mercer worked for Destro. So they are taking G.I. Joe characters and switching them around, putting them with different alliances now. So it's very cool. And finally, the last thing I wanted to cover in here is there is the final page, and I apologize, I forgot to do this on my last video. Joshua Williamson is the writer, Andrea Milena is the artist, and we have Annalisa Neoni is the colorist for this issue, and of course, and Russ Wooten is the letterer. So congratulations to the Skybound team working on Cobra Commander number 1. You guys are doing a fantastic job, but I wanted to go to the back because we do get some letters basically from Joshua Williamson, basically saying, hey, I always loved I'm not going to read the entire thing, but basically he's like, hey, we decided early on that Cobra Commander is going to be this way. This is not going to be the Cobra Commander from the comics. It's not going to be the Cobra Commander from the cartoon. He is going to be far more vile, far more ruthless than we've previously ever seen him being. And it's just awesome. And they say, oh, and the last thing's pretty funny. Oh, and as for Megatron, don't worry. It'll take some time, but the leader of the Decepticons will play a big role in the Energon universe. So there are big things planned for Megatron in the future, and he will obviously not be staying captured. Final thing I forgot to mention. The very last panel is a picture of of a swamp with a cabin, and on the front of the cabin says the Dreadnoks. So if you are a Dreadnoks fan, the Dreadnoks are coming very soon into Cobra Commander as soon as possibly issue 2. But I'm going to give this a big thumbs up, and you make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. If you enjoyed this content and you're going to keep checking it out, make sure you drop me a comment. Are you interested now in picking up Cobra Commander after hearing what I've read? Is it going to be on your pull list for your comics? Let me know in the comments below, because I cannot, between this and Duke, I'm just going to say it, Duke and Cobra Commander are interesting me far more than A Real American Hero is right now. And I'm going to continue to get A Real American Hero, don't get me wrong, I love G.I. Joe. But man, Cobra Commander and Duke, having them staggered out and eventually going to link up together is fantastic. I'm probably going to start picking up the Transformer ones just so I can have the third tie-in to this story, because man, it's fantastic. But that being said, thank you so much for checking out. Again, make sure you like the video, it really helps out my channel. Got some toy reviews coming up in the next couple of days. Hope you enjoy those. Otherwise, I'm Mark. You've been watching Coffee with Toys, and I'll see you later.